Welcome back, children. This is Information Technology for class 12. The subject code is 802. You can clearly see the textbook. Database Management Applications. Now, the contents what I'll be discussing is the first point is introduction. Second point, basic concepts and definitions. Third point, need for a database. Fourth point, database management system. In short, it is called DBMS. Fifth point, types of users of DBMS. Sixth point, advantages of using DBMS approach. Seventh point, limitations of using DBMS approach. And of course, the last one is recap of the session. Now, let us understand what is a database. Let me call out the definition of the database. A database is an organized collection of interrelated data stored together to serve applications. It works like a container which may contains the various database objects. As you can clearly see, a term interrelated. Now what do you mean by inter, children? Inter means many. International means many nation. Internet means many network put together. So many data collectively stored together to serve an application is called the database. As you can see, a container which is clearly shown below, database is written on it. You could see a lot of pink boxes kept inside that database. Those pink boxes are called as tables. Now let me give you an example of a table. For example, you have your school bag, and inside your school bag you have your textbooks, you have your notebooks, you have your stationery items inside that bag. Now, which is a classical example of a database. The textbooks and notebooks what you're having, I call it as a table. And now the next point is query. Query is nothing but posing a question to you. For example, if I ask you to take computer science textbook, you will open your bag which has the table, that is the textbook inside that, and looking at the label, you pick the textbook and give it to me. So a query is nothing but when I pose a question, it goes and checks the table and it picks an information. That is called the query. Those two things are very important. And let me move on to the next point. Most of the databases store data in the form of relations, also called tables. Such databases are known as relational database. Now what do this mean? How do database relate? For example, let me take the example of the school as a database. Our school have teachers, we have ancillary staff, we have student. So these three we can call it as a table. That is, the first table is the student, the second table is the teacher, the third table is the ancillary staff. Now these are related to one another. How it is related to one another? Because without student there is no teacher, and without student and teacher there is no ancillary staff. So that is called a relational database. So all these tables are related to one another, and it collectively forms a relational database. And I hope you have understood this concept, children. Now let us move on to the third point. A software used to manage relational database is called RDBMS. RDBMS is nothing but relational database management system. RDBMS is a software. Now below you can see some of the softwares that are available. Some commonly used RDBMS software are Oracle, which is a software, is called RDBMS. MySQL, again it is a software. MS SQL Server, Sybase and Ingress are some of the softwares which will help you to create this database, and that software is called RDBMS. Now let us move on to the next slide, children. I hope you have understood these 3 points. Now let us see the basic concepts and definition of a data. A data is a collection of raw facts which have not been processed to reveal useful information. I'll give you an example. You have your textbook, you cover it with brown cover and you fix a label on the textbook. When you paste that label on that, you will see only the name with an underline, class and section underline, your subject underline, school underline. Now that is an unprocessed data because that data is not complete, it is not processed, it is called as raw data. Now what you will do, you will take your pen and you will fill the information. You will write your name, you will write your class and section, you write your subject and you write the name of the school. Now once you fill all that information and paste the label on the textbook, it becomes a complete information. Now you can clearly see a picture which is shown below. The first is data. As the example what I have given you is a label which you did not write any information onto it because it is not processed. Next step, it is getting processed. You write your name, your particulars on that particular thing. Once it is processed, it becomes a complete information. Now what is the advantage of this, children? Now having completed all your particulars, if you miss your textbook and if someone is looking at your textbook, he or she can take the textbook and it can come back to you. It can either come back to you directly or it may go to your class teacher. Your class teacher will call and you will it will be given to you. So information is very, very important. If you did not write your particulars onto it, it is very difficult for anyone to fix it, and finally the process wouldn't be complete. Now we'll move on to the next one. Now data. In your textbook, the example given is marks obtained by student in an examination. It is called data because it is not processed. You got your marks, the subject teacher correct the paper and fill the marks in the mark register, and then it is handed over to your class teacher. Once your class teacher collects all the marks from the subject teachers, that process is called the processing. Compute. Now your class teacher do the totaling of the marks of all the 6 subjects. The average mark is calculated, the maximum and minimum mark is also calculated. Now the processing happens. The processing happens in the class teacher's place, and then finally after completing all this information, the total, the average, and then finally the report card is ready. Now the report card, you may call it as a complete information because it is processed, because your report card will definitely have the total, it will have the average, and I believe you understood the concept, children. The data, which is nothing but unprocessed, it is raw data. After it is getting processed, computed with all the information, it becomes a complete information. The example given to information is your report card. I hope it is clear to you. We'll move on to the next slide. Now in this slide, the formula for percentage is given. As you can see, the student name list is given. the subject teacher of different subjects. That is, here 6 subject teachers have given the marks, and it is coming to your class teacher. Your class teacher compute the total mark, and then the average mark is calculated, and even the percentage is also calculated. Now that yellow marking clearly shows f of x is equal to h2 divided by 600. h2 is nothing but 370 is given. There what you are going to do is you are going to calculate all the 6 subject mark and divided by 600. You will get the total mark, and based on the total mark the percentage is also calculated, and it is given very clearly above. A red color arrow is given. Once you click on to that percentage symbol, the percentage value will be converted. Now the point here is the data which is on the left hand side, the student name, all the subject marks, 6 subjects marks are called the data. How it is getting processed? It is getting processed with the computation, with the compute options. What are the basic arithmetic operations that you have? You have the addition, you have multiplication, subtraction and division. Once that computation process happens, then you get your total mark. The subject teacher, the class teacher calculates this total mark, the average, and then the percentage value, and finally the information is processed. I hope this slide will clearly make you understand the concept of data and then information and the process. Now let us see a YouTube video which will clearly explain the need for a database.
Welcome to Zero to ProTraining.com. What are databases and why do we need them? If you want to understand databases, then don't start with the features of database software. You need to go the other way. Databases are designed to solve a problem. Try to understand what problems the database is solving. You have some data, and therefore, you need a database. Is that true? Let's look at this closely and see if that statement is really true. Let's say there is some data you need to store. It could be information about customers, suppliers, or employees, etc. This data could be in any format: text, numbers, amounts, dates, documents, images, audio or video, etc. You can store this data in text files or spreadsheets. You can use folders to organize your files. Then, why do you need databases? Many small businesses start with this setup. They use spreadsheets and files and continue to use them for years. The setup might work just fine, because just having data is not a good reason to have a database. Having data is not the main problem. What comes next is the problem. Here are few issues that will come along the way: size of data, ease of updating data, accuracy, security, redundancy, and integrity of data. Small amount of data has a tendency to turn into a large amount of data. A spreadsheet solution is fine when you have 100 records. It may not work if you have 2 million records. You have to split up the file into multiple subfiles. This will create a problem of speed. It will take you a long time to find a record. Also, ease of updating becomes an issue when using spreadsheets or text files. Multiple people cannot edit the file at the same time. They will be overwriting everyone else's changes all the time. Data accuracy is hard to maintain. The no validation of data entry, and hence, accuracy is in question. Anyone can type anything. You can enter wrong spelling and wrong dates, for example. You cannot secure data in spreadsheets and text files. Anyone can access the files and can see any data within the files. This solution will not work for payroll and healthcare departments, where privacy is pivotal. Then, there will be problems of redundancy or duplication of data. Multiple copies of the same data would eventually find its way into spreadsheets and documents. This further leads to issues of accuracy. One file will say, the price is $10, and the other one will say, it is $15. It is not easy to update multiple copies of the same data at once. Some of the data that is not considered important is not entered into the files, as there is no validation. This brings the data integrity into question. It is because of these problems a database is required. A database prevents these issues. It is not that database is required because you have data. Database lets you store data and let it grow. You can modify the data. Multiple people can do the modification at the same time. The data is validated based on business rules. You can control the security, for example, who can view and who can modify the data. You can track who did what. All the essential data is captured. Databases could survive crashes and hardware issues without corrupting the data. Databases lets you take backups easily and perform recoveries. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Zero.
Now you have clearly understood the need for database, and we'll move on to the next concept, which is basic concepts and definitions. The first point is data redundancy. The second point is data inconsistency. The third point is lack of data integration. And I will give you examples for each one of them in the next slide. Now let us see the definition of data, the concepts and definitions. The first one, data redundancy. Now the term redundancy, underline the first letter, which is R. R stands for repetition. That is the tip I am giving you, children, to understand the concept of redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but repetition. So you will underline that R, you will write repetition. Same information is stored in more than one file. This would result in wastage of space. Second point, data inconsistency. What do you mean by inconsistency, children? Inconsistency means in different places, different values are kept. It is not. Consistency means it's all the same. Inconsistency means it is different. In one place it will be mentioned as 1, in other place it will be mentioned as 2, and in another place it will be mentioned as 3. So the same data will have lot of inconsistent value. Now if a file is updated, then all the files containing similar information must be updated, else it would result in inconsistency of data. As I told you earlier, in one place 1 is written, and the second place that 1 is replaced in file 1, but it is not replaced in file 2. It is not updated. So in all the places it is not updated. It is updated in one place and it is left like that in second and third place, which is called as data inconsistency. Now the third point, lack of data integration. As data files are independent, accessing information out of multiple files becomes very difficult. Now let me give you example of each one of them in the next slide. Now data redundancy. The example that I am giving you is a wall clock. Now the time is 10:10. Now for example, I am buying many wall clock like this. As you all know, our school has the ground floor, first floor, second floor, and of course the third floor. and our school have many classrooms. If I'm going to place that many number of wall clocks in the classrooms, it is unnecessarily going to accommodate space, that is wastage of space, and moreover it is going to show the same time. Now you understood that R, which is repetition, which is nothing but redundancy. So the same time is going to be shown in all the places, which is going to accommodate more space, which is called as data redundancy. Now let us see the definition of that. Same information is stored in more than one file. Here more than one file is more than one room. This wall clock is going to be fixed in every room. This would result in wastage of space. As you can clearly see, the space on the wall, it is accommodating lot of space. So similarly in database, this will accommodate more memory. So that is clearly known as the data redundancy. Redundancy means repetition. This is what you have to keep it in mind. The second point is data inconsistency. As you can clearly see on the picture, this picture, none of the clock is showing the same time. As you can see, the top one is showing 10:10. In the middle one is showing 8:10, one is showing 2:10, and one is showing 1:10. The final one is showing 9:10. Now this is called data inconsistency. I have already given you an example in the previous slide. One place one is kept, the other place the same information is modified. It is not reflected on the same thing. So too many things, too different, or in many places this data is inconsistently kept. Now I hope you have understood the concept. If a file is updated, then all the files containing similar information must be updated, else it would result in inconsistency of data. I can give you one more example. After your subject teacher give you the mark, it goes to the class teacher. The class teacher fills the register, and then again you go to the subject teacher for totaling mistake or something like that. The subject teacher give you the mark, and if it is not going to the class teacher already have your mark. He or she will write it in your report card. Now whatever the grace mark or the totaling mistake what you got, if it is not reflecting, that is called as data inconsistency. Your parent will have the mark sheet. The marks you would have got 50 or 60. Your subject teacher will have 40 or something like that. So that is called data inconsistency. Now I hope the concept is clear to you. We will quickly move on to the next one, which is lack of data integration. As you can see, I have given you 4 clock with different color. One is gray, one is blue, one is yellow, and one is red. Now these clocks, if I am asking you to fix it, not only these 4, many like this, if it is going to be placed in our school, and a few clocks, I'm going to give a tag called principal office, PT room, yoga room, music room, computer lab, biology lab, physics lab, something like that. I'm going to put a tag behind, and if I'm going to ask one student to pick principal room clock, it would be very difficult for that person to go and search all over the place, and that idea is called as the lack of data integration. You may not know where that clock exactly is, so you keep searching, and ultimately you will not find it, which is called the lack of data integration. I hope these 3 concepts you understood, children. The first one is data redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but repetition. Then data inconsistency. In one place it is shown as in one form, in the other place it is shown in another form. So that is called as data inconsistency. And the third point is data integration. now it becomes multiple files become very difficult to identify. Now we'll quickly move on to the next one, database management system. In short, it is called as DBMS. Now the various operations that need to be performed on a database are as follows. The first point is defining the database. It involves specifying the data types of data that will be stored in the database and also any constraint on that data. Now in this you need to understand the data type, and the second point is constraint. As you are quite aware, there are different data types: integer, character, float. Integer, what is integer? 0 to 9. A character is alphabet A to Z, and then float is the decimal point number. These are some of the data types that are available in the database. And what is the constraint, children? Again, underline the first letter C, constraint C. C stands for condition. If suppose in the database, if I'm going to fix a condition, like in the label example, as I told you, name, if the name has to be written first initial followed by the first name followed by the middle name and then the last name, if I'm going to set a condition like that, that is called defining the database. How I'm going to define the database is the first point. Second point is populating the database. Populating is nothing but the medium where the database is getting stored. It involves storing the data on some storage medium that is controlled by DBMS. It can be in C drive, it can be in D drive, or it can be in external drive as well. Manipulating the database. What do you mean by manipulating? Again, underline the word manipulating. The first letter M stands for managing. It involves modifying the database, retrieving data, or querying the database, generating reports from the database. Querying the database is nothing but you pose a question. As you are quite aware, the first table, it has pink color boxes. I told it as the table. It is something like your bag which has the textbook, and querying is you pose a question. I ask you to take one textbook and notebook. By looking at the label, you pick it up. So that is the example of querying the database. Now we will move on to the fourth point, which is sharing the database. Why should I share my database, children? I'll give you an example. In train ticket reservation counter, you go to that counter, you fill the form, and then you submit it to that counter person, cash counter person. He takes the data. The data is in the form of complete information because you have completely written all that information, and then he types your data, and finally the ticket is booked. And now as you can see, there are many counters that are available. Not only that one person is accessing the data, there are many counters. Person who are working in the counter is having the access in the database. What is the advantage, children? When you share the database, many users get the benefit. As not only you go and book the ticket, there are many people who are waiting for booking the ticket, in of course cancellation of the ticket. So once the database is shared, it helps so many people. I think you have understood the concept. Allow multiple users to access the database at the same time. Fifth point is protecting the database. What do you mean by protecting, children? Protecting is nothing but in a secured form. For example, password. You open your Gmail account. In the Gmail account, when you open it, when you sign in, it will ask for your user ID and password. As you are quite aware, when you type the user ID, you can see some text. The person who is sitting next to you can always see the text, but when you type the password, it will not be typed in the form of word or number. It will be in the form of dots. Why the dots is given, children? Because passwords are not to be advertised. A person who is going to sit next to you cannot see that. So there is some kind of restriction that is given to protect the database. It enables protection of the database from software, hardware failures, and unauthorized access. Now, sixth point, maintaining the database. It is easy to adapt to the changing requirement. Now, maintaining the database, as you know, how it is going to be maintained, how efficiently it is going to be maintained. Now, some examples of DBMS are MySQL, Oracle, DB2, IMS, IDS, and etc. There are plenty that are available. You can pick. Now, as of now, we are doing MySQL. Now, I think we can go to the next slide, children. Now, types of users of DBMS. There are mainly 4 types of users. Who are they? First one, end users. Users who use the database for querying. Querying, as you already know, it is the question mark, posing a question, modifying, add, modify, delete, update, that is called modifying, and generating reports. What is the meaning of generating reports? In the previous example, I told you, you go to the counter and finally you are getting the ticket in a printed form. That is called as generated report as per their needs. They are not connected, they are not concerned about the working and designing of the database. They simply use the DBMS to get their task done. Now, the end user is not the programmer. He is using the software with the user ID and password that is given by the administrator. Now, end user, who in the previous example, whom do you call it as an end user? The ticket reservation person, the counter person is the end user. He may not write the program, but he is using the database. Point number 2, database administrator. In short, it is called as DBA. Now, again, this database administrator also won't write program. His job is to create new user. As I already told you, that counter, it is not on, it is many counter are available. So this database administrator creates the user 1, user 2, user 3, like that, and he administers them. Now let us see the definition. As the name implies, the DBA administers the database and the DBMS. The DBA is responsible for authoring access, monitoring its use, providing technical support, acquiring software and hardware resources. I think I have given you adequate example to make it understand better. Now, point number 3 is application programmers. Here, application programmers do the programming work. Application programmers write application programs to interact with the database. These programs are written in high-level languages and SQL to interact with the database. As I mentioned, the first point, that is end user and the database administrators are not the programmers. The third one, which is the application programmer, is a software person who writes the program which interacts with the database. Now, point number 4 is system analyst. Now, system analyst is the key role. Now, let us see who the system analyst is. System analyst determines the requirements of the end user and then develops specifications to meet these requirements. A system analyst plays a major role in the database design and all the technical, economic and feasibility aspects. Now let me give you an example. For example, shopping mall is going to be opened. Now the administrator will call this system analyst, who is a technical person. He will have a meeting with the system analyst and he will list out the plans. For example, what are the goods that he will be selling, what is the market price, and what is the redemption that he is giving, what is the total percentage of discount that he is giving. So all these things, if that administrator need it in a proper bill that can be done in a database. Now this system analyst will analyze all these inputs from the non-technical person who is the administrator, and then puts it on paper, and then he takes it to the application programmer. Application programmer will design the database, and then he writes the code, he tests the code, and after testing the system analyst will deliver the good to the mall owner. And after the trial run, if everything is smooth, then finally that project will be a successful one. Now, have you understood the types of users, children? I think you have understood the 4 points, and only thing what you have to remember is the end user and database administrator are not the technical person. They only use it. Point number 3 and 4, that is the application programmer and system analyst. These people are the programmers. They write the program, they interact with the program. If there is any query that is going to come up from the administrator, they rewrite the program and bring the end result. Have you understood this, children? Now we can move on to the next slide. Advantages of using DBMS approach. Now in that YouTube video that clearly explained the advantages, the disadvantages, and also the need for the database. Now let me explain the first point, reduction in redundancy. Again this term redundancy is coming. As I clearly mentioned, R, underline that R stands for repetition. So reduction in redundancy is nothing but all the data is stored at one place. There is no repetition of the same data. As I have mentioned, the clock, instead of keeping it in many different locations, occupying more space, it is going to come to one common location, which is reduction in redundancy. The second point is improved consistency. Single copy of data is accessed or updated by all the users. The second point in database definition, we have seen inconsistency is the term that we understood. Inconsistency is nothing but the same thing is kept in different location in different forms. So a lot of confusion will come. That is called as inconsistency. Now improved consistency means single copy of the data is accessed or updated by all the users. Once it is centralized, any number of user as the train ticket reservation counter, many people can look into that, and even if you want to cancel your ticket, you need not go to the same counter person. You can go to the different counter, show your bill, he types the bill, and that one common location, but where your name, your date of birth, everything is getting stored, that place he goes and then he cancels the ticket. Hope you understood the concept now. The next point is improved availability. Same information is made available to different users. The fourth point, improved security. Security, as I already told you, is nothing but setting a password. By making use of passwords and controlling users' database access rights, the database DBA can provide security to the database. Now, who is this DBA? We have already understood this concept. DBA is nothing but database administrator. I told you this database administrator creates users like counter 1, counter 2, counter 3, and then he manage them. Now the last point is user friendly. Using a DBMS, it becomes very easy to access, modify and delete data. User friendliness is how the hand-on practice is, whether it is easy to work on or whether it is difficult to work on. If it is very easy to work on, it becomes user friendly. Okay, I hope you understood all these 5 points. Can we move on to the next slide, children? Now, limitations of using DBMS approach. What are the limitations? There are two limitations. We can go through that. The two main disadvantages of using a DBMS. First one is the high cost. High cost is the database, again the system administrator, the system analyst and the mall owner, they have a discussion, and then based on the requirement that is going to go to the system analyst will have a discussion with the system with the system DBA, that is database administrator, who is going to write the code, and depending upon the workforce and the total number of days that project will take, he will fix a high cost. Now that high cost is a limitation is nothing but the disadvantage, children. Now the cost of implementing a DBMS system is very high. It is also a very time consuming process which involves analyzing user requirements, designing the database specifications, writing application programs, and then providing training. I hope you understood this concept, that is from system administrator, the interaction with the system administrator, a system analyst and the mall owner. After that, a separate meeting with the DBA, that is database administrator, finally fixing the days, fixing the workforce and fixing the high cost. Now point number 2, security and recovery overheads. Unauthorized access to a database can lead to threat to the individual or organization depending on the data stored. Also, the data must be regularly backed up to prevent its loss due to fire, earthquakes, etc. Now here a new concept, regularly backed up. What do you mean by backup, children? Backup is nothing but the activities that you do today, end of the day that information have to be stored and it has to be kept in a safe place. It can be stored in an external drive, or if it is an IT company, people have magnetic tapes, they store it in the server room, and the activity, the mails that is coming and the incoming mails, outgoing mails, all important information in the electronic form are stored in that magnetic tape, and later on it can easily be retrieved. And one more example is that the CCTV camera which is fixed in police station all over the place, when a crime is committed, now this even before 2 or 3 days, if that is backed up, the policeman will take back that video and then he plays it, and easily the happenings, the recorded thing can be backed up. That is the concept of backing up. Okay, hence the DBMS approach is useful, usually not preferred when the database is small, well defined, less frequently changed and used by few users. That is, when the database is really small, there is no need for building a database. It can be stored in a spreadsheet. These are the limitations of using DBMS approach. Now I hope you have understood these two main disadvantages of using a DBMS, which is nothing but, first point is high cost, the second point is security and recovery overheads. Now let us see the recap of the session, children. What we have seen in this concept, the first point is, now let me show you the recap of this session. Now question, what is a database? You clearly understood what is a database. A database is a collection of interrelated data, and I have given you ample example of the first example is your bag, which has your textbook, your notebook and all the stationery items, and I have also given you the label, that is before writing your name, class section, subject name and school name, It is a raw data which is unprocessed, and once the processing happens, it becomes a complete information. These are some of the concepts that I have taught you in this session. Basic concepts and definitions. In this, the three concepts, it's very important for examination point of view as well. The data redundancy, R is repetition, data inconsistency, and lack of data integration, third point. So these three points I have given you example of the clock. The first clock is for data redundancy, that is keeping the clock in many location in classrooms, in first floor, second floor, ground floor. It takes a lot of the storage, it is going to take more space, so that is the difficulty part of it, and moreover it is going to show the same time all over the place, that is repetition, data redundancy. The next one, data inconsistency, that is in different clocks I have shown you. In those different clocks, different timings were shown to you, so you cannot come to a conclusion which one is correct and which one is incorrect. And finally, lack of data integration is nothing but it is very difficult to search. I have given you the example of tagging, principal room. If the tag is written on that clock, PT room, yoga room, and all the labs, if I'm going to call one person and look out for that, it takes a lot of time, and moreover that the process can be a success or it can be a failure. Okay. And the need for the database, I have shown you the YouTube video. The YouTube video clearly told you what are the limitations, why do we need database, whether we need database for a very small information storage, or what are the disadvantages of having a database. In the previous exercise we have seen what are the two disadvantages. One is the high cost thing is very important, and then too many whether you have to invest on smaller projects or something like that. So we'll move on to the next one. And what is the next point? Database management system, DBMS, and types of users of database DBMS. We have what are the types of users? 4 users. The normal user, that is the end user, DBA, and then database administrator, and then the system analyst. So the 4 types of users are very clearly explained to you, and then advantages and limitations of using DBMS approach is also clearly told. I think we have come to the end of this session, and I hope you understood these concepts. And thank you, children. Thanks for your cooperation. Have a great day.